So, hi everyone, I'm Elizabeth from Sacred Earth and Storm School, and I'm going to speak to you about the full moon and total lunar eclipse that is happening on the 14th of March. And as we know, this is a really eventful month. It's a very eventful year, so it's an eventful month in a very eventful year. And this total lunar eclipse, very important event for us to receive the blessings of this month as well. It's starting a very big sequence of a lot of events. So the full moon is in the sign of Virgo, and the eclipse will be visible mainly in North America and some parts of South America, and it will also appear red in the sky because of the light refractions, and the rest of the world will obviously also be able to see it, but not as a total lunar eclipse. And the eclipse will be for quite a long period, about 65 minutes. So lunar eclipses fall within the north node or the south node. This one is falling within the south node, and so the south node means that it's actually about letting go. It's about letting go of our collective karmic past, but also our own personal past, as it were, stories, events, limitations that we still subject to and we still allowing to affect us and also therefore our future. So when I tune into this full moon, it feels to me that there is a lot of grief, and that's what I certainly have been experiencing. A lot of grief is being released, and the grief is a lot around loss, where on a very deep level we lost someone, something, maybe even a life, a lifestyle, a sense of peace, happiness perhaps, that we have been grieving for a long time. And this is the time to really get in touch with it again. It's a very emotional full moon. Full moons are normally emotional, but it's particularly emotional because there's so many planets. The sun is still in Pisces, and there are many planets also retrograde. Venus is retrograde, etc. So there's a lot of emotions, a lot of water that's being affected, and emotions are obviously linked to water. So the emotions of grief, being able to get in touch with it, and it may be just triggered, be spontaneously by the smallest thing, or it may be actually something that comes up in our reality or in our life to help us to get in touch with it. But I've said this before, for me it's almost a bit like we don't have a second skin. We are so very sensitive and vulnerable at this time. Anything can really trigger us, or we feel very deeply and very easily. But there's also a really fantastic aspect in this full moon and eclipse, and that is with Uranus. And with that comes an amazing opportunity to have a breakthrough, to have a new awareness around this loss, around this grief. And it's almost like a moment of enlightenment. And I've experienced this in a sense of feeling a very deep sense of loss about something. It was actually around an animal or animals that I had that I lost. And I felt this, I feel this from time to time, so it's not like a new emotion. But I once again realized that I was triggered into that, or a memory of that. And then as I was in the actual emotion of grieving yet again, there was just a massive, almost inspiration that said, I can feel joy about this now. And that sounds so strange, but the joy was about, how shall I say, the joy of existence, that we are able to go through these experiences, and that it informs us, it helps us to become aware of experience, and that somehow this can be almost an impetus or a pushing me forward to make a choice consciously to live in joy instead. It was like, I've grieved enough now. Now this can be almost a motivating energy to say, let me focus on the opposite of grief, because that's also available. And I'm now choosing to focus on joy. The joy of remembering those animals, the joy of remembering the special connection that I had with them, the joy of whatever that brought me, and that the loss is part of it, but there can be another memory now, and I can actually use this as a beautiful memory instead of it having to be so traumatic. So I would invite you to think about this. Certainly you will be feeling it on some level, some feeling about loss or grief, pain, suffering, whatever it is. Venus is also now in retrograde. It's very much about relationships that are closing and transforming and being reassessed. So there's a lot of endings, and because of so many of these planets being at the last degrees of Pisces, like someone was saying, that you can't almost get to a greater ending than at the end of Pisces, because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and this is the last of the last degrees in Pisces. So it really is about the ending of endings. And then we're about to go into Aries, which is the beginning of beginnings again, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and it would be at 0 degree of Aries. So, and that will be Neptune that goes into that for the first time on the 30th of this month. So, yeah, what is there that you can really now bring this aha moment to, which is the Aquarian higher perspective, that aha moment to actually make a deep choice within yourself to say, I'm no longer going to be paralyzed or grieving about this, which has been devastating for me, but I can bring a new perspective on it. And this is very much to do with the future. What can I do with this? How can I reassess this to bring it into my life and my future in a positive way? I think that really is the question that occurred to me. And I could make that choice. And suddenly it was an organic process. This is not something we do in our heads. It's something that just occurs naturally when we're willing to be in the emotions and surrender and be authentic and live the emotion, because it's wonderful to have the emotions. As humans, this is very unique to us. We're able to experience it, but also direct it. We can bring more light, more lightness, more awareness into it without pushing it away. It can transmute into something even greater, an awareness, a deep knowing. So absolutely, with this full moon and the eclipse, some people say that eclipses always have a bit of a bad rap. Often they're feared, and because it's red, there are all these ideas about it. But my point of view is very simple, and that is that we actually, anything is just our perception, it's our intention. And so if I'm in fear about it, that's what I will attract. And if I am there with an open heart and willing to receive, that's what I will receive. So just be clear with the intention. Certainly for me, it's not something to fear, it's something to embrace, to open my heart to, and to receive from it and co-create with it, because that's what the earth and the planets in the universe are so enjoying doing with us, because as we're waking up, we're able to do this more and more. So let's just for a moment go into our hearts and just feel your heartbeat, this beautiful heart that has been through many, many incarnations. This heart that holds the genetic memory of many, many generations. This heart that holds memories of many multidimensional realities that we can't even begin to fathom. And in many of these realities, we have experienced immense loss. It's part of the human condition. And loss brings grief. And grief brings often a sense of feeling very alone, abandoned. So let's just acknowledge this beautiful heart that we have, and what that heart has seen, experienced through millennia in different ways. And let's, in our heart, bring this image of a beautiful red lunar eclipse. And let that red intensify. And let it become almost a washing, a cleansing of the old, a cleansing of the old memories, the old perspective. And let's imagine that it's getting lighter, and that red is becoming pink. And pink is self-love. Pink is unconditional love for everything and everyone. And that's so much the energy of Pisces, which is the opposite of the Virgo full moon. And let's feel the energies of Virgo. Virgo is immense purity, being able to go into that purity of heart, to let go. And let's imagine opening up our hearts and allowing in this immensely beautiful and bright future. And in that future, what would you like to put? I'm putting joy into it. That's so important for me at this time. And just imagine putting that, your own personal quality, whatever comes to you, put that into the mix, into your heart for the future. Allow that to be illuminated once that full moon becomes a full moon again after the eclipse. Once it emerges from that period of shadow, it can shine brightly with the new. And imagine that your heart, your body is receiving from the future, that you are linked and aligned to the most beautiful future, and that this blessing of this full moon and lunar eclipse is bringing it to you. So what I would also suggest is, as a last side note, is often it's very good to also do a very simple ceremony. I will be doing one, just releasing something natural into the water. It'll be good to do it with water because the moon is about water. But whatever you feel guided to do, and symbolically allow it to drift away. Bless it, thank it. But you giving that indication to your being, your subconscious, your unconscious. And it's being witnessed by the earth and the elements that you are willing to let go. You're willing to become empty. It's the ending of the endings. And you're ready and preparing for the new of the new. So, with many blessings and much love, Elizabeth.